Yes, people, welcome back. How are we all doing? This is Lion in the Room, episode 20. I am your host, Leo, and I've got my boy K. Talk to me, man. How you doing?
I'm glad, man. Episode 20. We're here.
It's finally out, bro. It's finally out. You got 10 episodes starting off, 10 episodes again, and hopefully we can make it 50, 100. We're just going to keep it going, honestly, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to keep doing this. People, as always, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want added. And hey, we'll try our best. But let's get into the episode. Talk to me, bro. How have things been with you, man? Any updates on your life?
There's been a few ups and downs, but, I'd say positively things going well at work, doing great. Work's going fine,
That's
making
good.
money. Truthfully, this on the spiritual side of things, there's been a bit of a dip. I'm just trying to find out why.
Mhm.
Ever since the episode where I said, I want to, get closer in my relationship, that declaration, there's been a bit of a dip. So it's like I'm trying to figure out what it could be. I'm thinking maybe is God testing me? Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? When I say dip, I mean, like, in me personally, I just feel like I'm finding myself just a bit shaky, asking questions.
Yeah.
It's a bit harder to go to church now than it was before
Mhm.
and stuff like that. That's where I'd say the dip is coming from.
I do understand where you're coming from, man. I do. I mean, in making the statement that you did, coming back to Christ, being baptized, as we see these things, we also believe and we know that the devil is seeing these things as well. Mike Tyson also said this thing about Francis Ngannou. If anything, he said to him, when you're favored by God, you're also favored by the devil. I can't do the list. Well, I would try, like, when you're favored by God, you're favored by the devil.
Yeah.
But like, you're favored by the devil, which means as God is giving you blessings, the devil is also trying to give you stuff as well. These are obviously temporary things, but you always have to keep your focus on the one who brought you here. That's what he was telling him. But going back to what you've spoken about with the dip, it can literally just be an attack from the devil. It can be temptation. It can be old habits. But in trying to find out where it's coming from, why it's coming and why it's happening, you might find yourself going deeper and deeper, or if anything, farther away from God. Main thing of all, stay with God.
Yeah.
The Bible always talks about us fleeing from temptation, fleeing from sin.
Yeah.
It's not just because we are weak, not because we'll always be weak, but these are things that do not leave us. They're always there.
Yeah.
We can look at temptation, we can look at the temptation of lust and say, I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fap again. And you do it tomorrow. Or you go to bed and you wake up and then you just do it. And then you remember what you were telling yourself last night and you feel so silly, so stupid. But in that moment, you could have also turned to God.
Yeah.
But sometimes that voice just doesn't feel as strong
Yeah.
as the other voices. Remind yourself of the race you're running.
Yeah.
Remind yourself of the life you're living as well, because it's individual to you and your relationship with God is also individual to you. So run back to your creator, run back to your father, bro. And I feel like things will always be better that way. We're human beings, we're individuals, and we can always accomplish these things ourselves.
Yeah.
But in the case of the spiritual, rely on the spiritual. Rely on your heavenly father, bro. And that's just how it goes, man.
I definitely say, to just, just to put out there, it's like, because, at the end of the day, we're human beings. We're always going to have, life is going to have its ups and downs and whatnot. It is a marathon after all at the end of the day,
Very true.
Yeah, it's very good to always just come back to your creator, just look to him for help. You might not see it as masculine or manly thing, like, running back, but at the end of the day, that is the answer.
It's needed. Speaking of manly, I want to ask you this question because as Christians, the whole point or the main mission of the religion, the faith, is to bring more believers.
Yeah.
As, the lost sheep. We bring these guys back to God. But in this day and age, everyone is well informed of the religions in the world and the ways of life and the different mantras that can be followed. A lot of people choose to follow what speaks to them, and in doing so, some people choose to speak poorly on Christianity. They say that Christianity is a bit too meek, or how we were talking about this. How did I explain it?
It's a bit passive.
Yes, passive. You know, with our morals and our ways of life. Because truthfully, it's a very peaceful way to live your life.
Yeah.
You know, aside from probably the other teachings or other stories that some may believe are questionable, you know, how people like to say, oh, you know, but they said this in the Old Testament or Leviticus, blah, blah, blah. But when you look at the New Testament, which is mostly about love and forgiveness and grace, you come to a point where Jesus spoke about how to handle confrontations. And if someone slapped you on the cheek, you turn the other cheek. Some people believe that, or some people feel as though Christianity is a passive religion. And for those that want to be strong men, strong individuals, some do not feel the need to follow such a religion. Do you believe that? What do you think about that, man?
I think at the end of the day, Christianity is a religion of love. You know, it's like, because at the end of the day, humans, we've been separated from the Father. So the main objective is to bring everybody back together, have the reconciliation, the reunion. With that being said, I think, let me give an example. You know, the Bible as well, the Bible does speak of forgiveness, you know, always forgiving, turn the other cheek. Where it says that, I think it's using it as a metaphor, is like if someone offends you, you know, forgive them. Because at the end of the day, if you really think about it, we as humans, we offend God every single day, every second. You know, no one's perfect. There's always, it's a sin every day. Even Christians, you know, people who are always, you know, practicing Christians, no one is perfect. You're going to sin at some point. It is normal. You're always going to sin. That's just human nature. But God gives us the grace because Jesus died for our sins. So it's all forgotten. Let go. You know, in fact, humans, we're able to forgive, but it's a lot harder to forget. But with God, He forgives and He forgets. He lets it go completely. You know, so while you have that grace extended onto yourself, extend it onto others, because I think the Bible also says if you were to hold everything against everyone that's ever offended you, God would then hold all the offenses you've done to Him against you. I'm not too sure if that's exactly what it says, but I believe that's what it says.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I do get where you're coming from. You know, being able to release yourself of anger, free yourself of that anger. It's very hard to forget the things that have happened to you in this life because, bro, just randomly, truthfully, just pops into your head. Or that random ex just pops into your head. Random situation, that argument that you could have won in the shower, you just remember it.
Oh, I could have said this.
Exactly, man. I just let this guy embarrass me in front of 20 people, bro. But you gradually just remember what you could have done better. I feel that as people, as Christians as well, we have to look at things differently. You know, if anything, from a deeper perspective, to be able to understand the things that we see, being able to, if anything, assess situations as well. It's very hard for a guy to be in this world and avoid conflict. But there are different ways of de-escalating a tight situation. Sometimes you may not be able to, and some people just need to talk with their fists.
You gotta speak with the lefts and the rights.
Exactly. Would you say, because bro, like I'm still finding it hard to wrap my head around this, bro. Like I could be dragged into some kind of conflict, you know, like let's say like there's no dangerous items, no guns, no knives. It's just fisticuffs. And I've tried to de-escalate, you know, this guy pushes me or he slaps me or he uses some derogatory slur on me or whatever, and I now need to be loving and kind and peaceful, and bro, you think about those things, you just want to step on this guy's foot, he doesn't move, and just use him as like this little, you know, those little boxing pins,
things that keeps coming back, that type of thing.
You just be thinking about how sometimes Christianity can be limiting. You know, you wanna
Let
show them why.
Let me really, show you
Why
who
I
am.
took my dad's genes, bro. But
Yeah.
you show them why you took your holy father's genes as well. Show a little bit of compassion. But then what they gonna call you, bro? They call you a wimp. Call you a little.
They'll call you all sorts of things.
I'm telling you, man.
I think another thing to put out is like, obviously, the Bible is not entirely against you, having to physically defend yourself, because if you look at it in the Bible, the Israelites, they killed people.
Yes, of course.
Outright, they killed people in wars.
Yeah. Them ones that openly served the idol gods and all those things.
Killed them. And in fact, there was one where Moses lifted his hands in prayer to pray that the general is going to kill them. And he did. He slain them with the sword.
That the Israelites would win, bro.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? If someone is after your life, like you've tried de-escalating, they're not going to listen, and they are hell bent on getting your life. You have to defend yourself at that point.
Don't kill them, though.
Don't kill them, obviously. Don't kill them.
Kola.
Don't kill them, but you have to, you show them the left, the right, or whatever tool that you may have to defend yourself, But in the case where it's like two people arguing hot-headed, it's kind of safe. They've pushed you. Honestly, the Bible actually does say, just let it go. It's hard.
You really don't know what's going to happen after. Imagine, Christian nerd, glasses, stereotypical everything. He pisses this guy off a bit too much. Yeah, he opens his Bible, like there's some extra space inside there for like 2 brass knuckles, bro.
Just pull the okay. You want to try? You think
the Lord is my shepherd? God. Oh man, like it would be so wild, bro. It'd be so funny, man.
I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people assume that because someone's a practicing Christian doesn't mean they're not skilled in the left or the right.
I'm a practice professional, bro.
You never know. Somebody may preach, but you don't know whether that guy is always going to gym to be doing boxing every night. It's just
there's this
self-control,
I'm telling you, there's this South American preacher. He said that he was very, very skinny before, but he got pushed off the altar or something from one of these leftist ladies. I don't know. How many months or years after, bro looks like he took steroids. Like, you will not think it's him, but you look at his face, well, it's him. This guy got swole. He's still a priest, still a father, everything, bro. Like,
but he just said, try it again. Try it again.
Oh man, Christianity always preaches peace. It preaches peace. I mean, you never really know what's going to happen in the moment of a fight. You never really know what's going to, in the heat of the moment. You don't really know what's going to happen when you start fighting. What's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to that person? And when those things happen, you can't just be saying, "Well, I didn't know." So you can always walk away, and you always look better when you choose to walk away. That person. When you give somebody the silent treatment, especially in an argument, it makes the person as, obviously receiving the silent treatment feel as though they're doing something wrong. Makes them feel stupid, but at the same time, it's a nice way to avoid it. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but if there's anybody watching, you will be justified.
So, when we all start off as kids, we grow up, we're born, to 2 parents, we go to school, we start off. At that point, that's where everything seems relatively equal. Everything's on level ground. Well,
level playing field.
Playing field, relatively speaking. At that point, that's where kids start to develop their dreams, their ambitions, what they want to do with their lives, And there's many factors that influence said ambitions, maybe the background, their interests, who they are as a person. So what I wanted to ask you now, right, is in today's society now with media, social media connecting everyone, making us all closer than ever in terms of just, being able to see what someone is doing. Would you still say that kids really compare each other's ambitions or compare each other's hopes and dreams for themselves versus one another?
100%. One, because kids are cruel. Geez, man, they see something, they say something.
Yeah.
They learn something, they do it. They say it. It's all there. Kids are cruel. So, like, 100%. When they learn some form of classism, they won't know it directly, but they will learn it indirectly. They will start to either pick and choose or, compare, see what they feel is better. And it's always based off of what they've heard from parents, what they've seen on TV, or what's been told to them, like either pressured or forced, things like that. Kids when we talk about kids, let's also put into perspective that these are not toddlers. You could be like probably going from like some form of grade school or high school. I mean, grade school, some kids got some dads that pick up trash, and you got some dads that are businessmen, and you can kind of tell the two different lifestyles or the two different people in the behavior of their children.
Yeah.
I think some kids compare their lives to motivate themselves. That's normally seen in probably much older kids when you're like in high school or you're about to finish high school. And then some kids compare to pick on others to kind of show what they don't have, or normally it's because they don't understand. They really don't understand that people's lives are different. You're used to being in your own home, which is going to be either your group of 5, 4, probably even 7 if you got lots of siblings, for example. And you go to school, maybe it's show and tell, or you talk about your parents, or an open day, for example. And in waiting for your turn to present, you hear another person present, and they're talking about how their dad is a gardener or some kind of florist that goes to rich people's houses and shapes those guys that literally shape the bushes, frame them into different sizes and shapes and sculptures and whatever. To another kid, that sounds fun. To one kid, that's nothing. Oh, my daddy's an accountant. Oh, da 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 da, and all that rubbish. Kids really compare other kids' aspirations as well, because based off of what you've heard your dad do, you probably want to do something similar, or you want to do something cool. And if you haven't heard something cool from your I was gonna say significant other, but like your not your colleague, but one of the people in the same class as you, it doesn't sound as cool, then they're gonna look at it and be like, oh, all right, so why'd you want to do that? Like things like that. People definitely compare. Kids definitely compare. It may just be minimal, because it never really grows to become anything unless if it's unchecked. That then affects a person's ego and the way they see life, because I guess what's that thing people say, like life isn't just black and white, it's black, white and gray and things like that. Not everybody is going to have the opportunity to get or have huge aspirations, but they can always work towards it. When you are comparing, you should only compare in a sense where you want to be better, and not comparing and feeling as though a person is beneath you, or you are beneath a person. You get me?
Okay. With that, what you said, I agree with what you said a lot, and I actually want to touch on a few things you mentioned.
Go ahead.
So, say for example, where you mentioned the fact that someone's talking about how their kid is like a gardener, like their kid's dad is a gardener who sculpts. Funny enough, actually, now another thing to note is like the context of the situation, in the sense that like someone who cuts, bushes in one country might not be as valued as in another country. In another country, might seen as very high value. They're they call them like a artist basically.
True.
While in another country, they just say, oh, it's just a gardener, know? Because you could also say, like, say for example, now a kid whose dad is an accountant in one country might not even be earning up to half as another kid who's a gardener in another country.
True.
So with that being said, I think a lot of things that play into factor in regards to kids setting ambitions and motivations for themselves is, their upbringing, the country that they may live in. So say a kid now who comes from like a poor family, he's just thinking of, oh, I just want to do well for my family, versus a kid who's like a politician's child, and she's thinking, I want to be the next governor, after my dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, she may look down on him thinking, oh, you just want to do, in her eyes, the bare minimum. To him, it might not be that, it might be a really big thing to him because he's able to bring his whole family up, you know?
Exactly. She hasn't lived in his shoes and he hasn't got to live in hers.
In her shoes. So for her, financial gain may be her motivation. For him, it may just be taking care of his family. And
some form of stability.
Some form of stability. With that, he might see it as, you know, this is your thing. But she may look down on him. He may even look at her in the sense that, oh, you're the only way you're gonna end up being a governor is because you're corrupt. You're, you know, like nepotism.
That's true, exactly. So
it's
everyone, like, oh, daddy's money, daddy's
money. You know. So it's like everyone, each side may have a positive and a negative. So it's like, you know, with that being said, it's like everyone may have different measures for themselves in the sense of like, okay, this is what I want for myself. This is why, due to their upbringing, due to where they're based. Some may now look down and think, okay, this person wants more than me, or, you know, they think they want less than them. So it's very important to just note, like, on the fact that, like, at the end of the day, kids will always compare, and they will rate everyone's things for different metrics. So they're not always going to use the same metrics. And then that's where it's not important to know that, you know, at the end of the day, it's a marathon, you know, everyone's going to do their own thing, you know, everyone's just going to go their own way and pursue what they want based on their own metrics, you know?
100%. Just before we move over to the next segment in your topic, one thing that I've also noticed is that probably one of the reasons as to why people suffer in this kind of comparison issue is because we start off running with our family. We start running with our family supporting us. That's one. You kind of come into this life with already established people around you. If you're not the first child, then you're probably the second, third, last child. So you're also seeing other kids, your siblings, starting off a race. So you're running together. You're then sent to school and your siblings are running a race with other people. Now you're running a race with other people and you're running this race for, let's say, 3 years. Junior high or whatever, junior grade, whatever, however the curriculum is. But for 3 years, you're running with the same people. In running with the same people, you are really used to hearing about what is happening in their family. You're used to hearing about what they want for themselves. You're used to seeing them. So in doing that, there's a lot of comparisons to what you already know, you know? And you're the one asking yourself, well, what sounds better? For example, like Nigeria, for example, everyone, or for me, I personally feel as though there is what they call classism in Nigeria, where everyone is so focused on each other's standing, everyone's ranking in life. I could be so well off. And there could be another person that is probably at the bottom of a tier. And there's a certain way people are treated. There's a certain way people are looked at. That man could probably save up a lot of money to go buy a particular car that I can easily buy. Like, it's change for me. And people can start telling that man that he doesn't need to buy that car. He shouldn't buy that car because that's a big man's car and he's not a big man. You know? But like for me, it's like, you could probably buy two. See this other one, you should go and buy. So many people are so focused on other people's races that it seeps into the younger generation. Because it seeps into the younger generation, people are struggling with understanding that everyone has their own unique way of living life. You know, as a kid, as you gradually grow older, you're listening to most of what your parents are telling you. And if you're always seeing your parents compare you or compare themselves to others, you gradually start doing it to other people as well. And you might become a parent and do that to your own children. A kid doesn't need to be bothered about whose job is better or who dad is better, but we've seen them do that because there's some form of hierarchy in these systems. The system that we live in, there's a hierarchy. Family systems, there's a hierarchy. School, there's a hierarchy. In like forms of nepotism and classism are brought in, there is a hierarchy. So the younger generation will always see that. I'd say so. They always see that. Okay, now, bro, can't lie, this is a nice episode. The whole concept of running your race, finishing your marathon is a great way to look at life.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying earlier on, a lot of people are already used to comparing themselves, the end goals or the starting foundations. They are used to comparing what they have to others. They're used to finding out what they feel is a better way to live life, and making sure they point out the life of another person that they feel is the wrong way to go about living your life. I see that a lot, and you realize that so many people are, consumed by things like these, where you're not actually enjoying this race that you're on, because you start off as a kid having these dreams, having these aspirations. It starts off with the things you watch on TV, and then it goes into the awareness of your parents' jobs. The love for your parents brings an interest into their careers. And then you get to school, you start meeting other people. These things start to change, either for better or for worse. But after a while, your aspiration is established in your head. But you're now meeting other people. And these guys, friends, acquaintances, even colleagues, it seems like these guys are way ahead of you, or their race is almost done. That part of their race, at least, is almost done. It's a very hard pill to swallow.
Indeed.
It's a very hard pill to swallow, man, but take control of your topic.
Man, I think with what you've actually made quite a few good points. You see people like your colleagues, your friends, your even sometimes siblings, you see they're doing very well for themselves. We're all older now. Some of us, at least for the ones that left uni, we've left uni. We see how everyone is doing their own thing now. I think it's important to note that, like, imagine now it's like you're just, you're coming out of uni, right? You're doing your thing. You might see a friend of yours now is like they're suddenly so successful, financially independent. They're traveling all over the world. As you said, it's a hard pill to swallow. It's very difficult. But I just wanted to then ask you, how would you then think to cope? How would you cope, seeing all these things, knowing how everyone to you is like they're so far ahead, they're doing this. How would you then cope with such a situation?
How I'd cope? It'd be very hard to cope, Kay, because damn, man, that's somebody I was going to class with, probably someone I was partying with, especially when we went through, if anything, what I would call the same road, the same avenue. He comes the next time I see him, and he's so well off. Maybe not crazy rich, but definitely a decent amount of money. He can, he's doing way better than I am. How do I cope with that? First things first, I have to tell myself that that's his life, because when you start to look at another person's life, you start to think that your life isn't good.
Yeah.
I have to make the establishment. I have to establish the fact that his life is his life. That's his. I need to focus on mine. Everybody has a way of going about their lives, and your path will always be different. Their paths will always be different, mainly for the fact that they were born into this world on their own. So were you, so was I. To be able to understand that, I also need to push away jealousy, because this is the way jealousy comes. You see what you don't have. It starts off with admiring or you saying you want that, and it then actually becomes jealousy, because you are now starting to show some sort of disdain for the person and not for the fact that you don't have it.
Yeah.
I would honestly also try to lock in. I need to lock in.
Yeah.
If I don't lock in, bro, I'm gonna zone out. And once I zone out, everything's gonna go. And I'm gonna be even farther behind.
Yeah.
I would honestly say the first thing you need to do is acknowledge, lock in, and believe in yourself.
Yeah.
That's definitely one. Believe in yourself. You have a dream, and you have a dream that you want to accomplish. There is definitely going to be a way of going about it. There's a plan for everything.
Yeah.
But because that person seems to be doing way better than you, doesn't mean that there isn't something he or she is missing.
Yeah.
You know, you've mentioned before that a man might have all the money, but he might be missing a family.
Exactly.
That's very true. You feel like you may have thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars, whatever currency it may be, but you have nobody to spend the rest of your life with consistently. I mean, because you can always buy people's time, affection, friendship, but it's only for a time.
Yeah.
I will honestly say, block in, acknowledge the fact that you have two different lives, and believe in yourself.
100%.
Those will definitely be my ways of coping, because it is hard, man. It's very hard. And it's also very hard when you were probably steps ahead of that person before.
Exactly.
And then you see that they've gone 10 steps over. Yeah, exactly. They've overtaken you. You're asking yourself, why? How? Focus on that, and you're probably not going to find out how you can be the best person you can be.
You know, I agree with a lot of what you've said, actually, and I want to actually touch on a few things you've also mentioned.
Rock on.
I think it's very important. The most important thing I'd always say is, like, don't compare, because there's a saying, comparison is the thief of joy. You know, if you're constantly comparing yourself to this person, to that person, oh, this person's doing better than me, oh, that person's doing it, but you're gonna be depressed, man.
The thief of joy.
You're not gonna be happy. You won't even be able to celebrate your own wins. There's always gonna be a bigger fish, quote unquote. It depends on what metric you're looking at it from. There's always gonna be someone who's doing something more. That's just life, you know. That's just how it is. Today, someone may say they're the richest. Tomorrow, somebody else even richer shows up. You know. I think another thing to recognize is that I'll use an example now. Like, I have classmates of mine who I went to school with, like my classmates. We sat together in the desk. Like, there was even a classmate of mine. She used to sit next to me. We would laugh and joke sometimes in class, but we were also serious when it was time to be. She's married now. It's like, she's married now. Like, married. She has a husband. And it's like, to me, that concept almost seems so far away. Like, marriage? Like, married? You know, I have another classmate of mine. He's due to get married this year, you know? Congrats to him, by the way. But, like, you know, congrats to both of them, actually. You know, it's like, wow. Like, you may think they're so ahead of you. Like, if I use the metric now of starting a family, technically you can say, yeah, they're ahead of me, you know?
That's true.
But it's like, they may not have this money that's in my pocket. You get what I'm saying?
Like, you're not as loaded as
you might not have the money in the pocket. That
That's
type
true.
of thing, you know? It depends on the metric you use, because a lot of people tend to use money as the main metric. If this person has more money than me, then they're clearly ahead of me. That might not be the case. Like, if you see someone with less money than you, but like they have a family and you see they're happy, you might be confused, like, why is this person so happy? They don't have crazy money. They're just living a comfortable life. But to them, you don't know what their metric is. Their metric could be get a family. Now they have a family. Of course, they're going to be happy. If one is satisfied and accepts the fact that the only person you're in competition with at the end of the day is yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need to compare. You know what you want. You know how your life is going. You know the steps. If you don't look left, you don't look right. You're going to be happy. You will celebrate all the wins, you know. You might have less money than someone who has a lot of money, but you don't know what may happen to that person tomorrow. Like, I'll use Pop Smoke, for example. Rest in peace. He died at the age of 20. When he first came onto the scene, within like under 5 years, the guy exploded. International, exploded. Like, it was so fast. It was like a rocket. And, you know, he dropped his project, Meet the Woo 2. That blew up as well. With 2 weeks after that, he died. Now, let me use Fabio Foreign, for example. Fabio Foreign did not reach near the level of success possible.
Two different spectrums, yeah.
But he's still alive. And he's still dropping music till today. He's still alive today. You know? One's dead, his marathon is ended. One is still going.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, you know, okay, 5 years songs didn't blow. And that's true, yeah. They didn't blow up to the level Pop Smoke's did. They didn't have that much pull in the UK as compared to Pop Smoke. But Pop Smoke is dead, 5 years alive, you know. his race is still running. Post Malone's race has ended. You never know how someone's story may go. You may never know what they passed through. You may come across a friend that you used to go to school with. You see how well they're doing, but you never know. They could have lost a kidney. They might have lost a leg.
That's true.
They might have gone through a life altering experience that affects the quality of their life. One thing I actually, I saw this quote when I actually thought about this. I was like, okay, if you see someone that's supposedly doing better than you, would you trade your entire life, how you have lived versus how they have lived? Would you swap places?
No, you can't, because then you
don't know what,
be a different person.
Exactly. You don't know what they've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what may have happened to them to get to that point. You don't know what's going to, because when you trade life, you don't know whether their destiny is to die tomorrow. Now, God forbid you've just taken on that destiny to die tomorrow.
Well, yeah, destiny is always a very funny thing, though. I feel like destiny is always determined based off how you live your life, your choices and your actions and things like that. But I completely agree with you in cases like that. You remember like games like The Sims?
Yeah.
Like Sims 4, you could make a character, you could make a sim, and you could give him aspirations, you could give him like a particular dream. One might want to be a sim-millionaire. That's like their currency. Another one might want to have like a huge family tree.
Yeah, huge family.
Some other random guy wants to be a vampire. Like, they're all just different.
Exactly.
They're all just different. They're all different aspirations, yeah. But one thing that was always the same with every sim is that if they got to a point and they did not achieve the aspiration, they were sad for a very, very, very long time. You never really had people in that game wanting to be like anyone else. Like there was this joy. I mean, even though I'm talking about a game, you could see, or I could see, that there was this joy that these characters would gain or receive after doing what they wanted to do. They could just think of going to talk to somebody and they would feel rewarded for doing that. There is always going to be a way for us as human beings to live our lives. We can't live our lives like others. We can take part in particular things. We can take ideas from different people. Like, I love J. Cole, man. I love him as an artist and I love the way he raps. But the truth of it is that I'm never really going to be as lyrically gifted in the same fashion as Cole.
Yeah.
I could be gifted, but maybe I'm meant to be like Giggs. Maybe I'm meant to be like someone else.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm meant to be me.
Yeah, exactly.
I can adapt and I can appreciate.
Exactly.
But I'm always going to be different, man. I'm always going to be different. And as people, we need to aspire for what is rightfully ours. Like literally what you were saying, a man can be happy with his wife and 2 kids.
Yeah.
Nice little bungalow house, knowing that everything else is financially stable and secure. While another man might want to be a mogul, an influencer, a fashionista, whatever, a businessman. That doesn't mean that the family man's dreams are not high.
Exactly.
But it just shows, the metric, how you measure it, how you look at it, how you value it. Everyone has their different types of value or levels of value or levels to which they value something, but you will never be able to understand why I love my family the way I do.
Yeah.
You only know why you love your family the way you do.
Exactly.
And that's the thing about life, bro. Okay. So, life being a marathon.
Yeah.
This is a really nice topic you brought up, man. But I want to ask, why? Why do you bring it up? Why do you feel as though... No, why do you feel as though people don't look at life well enough to get the most out of their potential? Because everybody has the potential to make the most out of their life, you know what I mean?
I think, now, from even me personally speaking, I'll speak for myself. I think I brought this topic up because at the end of the day, sometimes I forget that, like, at the end of the day, everyone is doing their own thing in their life. Your own life path is different. Everyone's life path is different. I feel like sometimes I may be in a bit of a hurry to, I won't say grow up, but in a bit of a hurry to achieve and accomplish things.
Tell me
so
about
much
it.
so is like, you don't just take the time to actually just appreciate the journey that you're going on. Like, just, as you're passing through phases in life, you don't take time to appreciate this time, appreciate that time. You're just always focused on, where will I be in 5 years? Where will I be in 10 years? Where will I be this? The Bible says, don't worry about tomorrow. Let
Yeah.
tomorrow worry about itself, because it brings its own issues,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true, because it's like a lot of people are always thinking of the future. I don't know the future. I'd honestly just say, like, because after we discussed this topic, I'd honestly just say, like, yes, plan ahead for the future, but don't obsess over it to the point that you can't even enjoy the now. You don't get the time to just fully experience and take in and appreciate the moments that you're going through right now. Not saying if someone is in like a horrible situation, that's different. Like, I understand wanting more for yourself and hoping to escape that situation. I'm talking about those who are just, you're starting out, you've come out of uni, you're either looking for a job or you already have a job. Because at the phase we're at right now, for a lot of people, some people are still looking for a proper job out of uni. Others have found it and they're looking to, now I want this promotion, I want that promotion, that type of thing. So as you can see, everyone is doing their own thing in their race. Just look for the best way to focus on your own path.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy the moments as they come. Accept life for what it is, and focus on self-improvement. So yeah, really and truly, this is why I just brought up this topic. I thought it's very important to discuss that and let our audience know at the end of the day, everyone is living their own life. Your own life is not the same as someone else's. It's going its own way.
Exactly, 100%. I do agree with you there, man. The thing now that I would also like to add is just the fact that you, as you get older, you do realize that your life will gradually cross paths with other people. They would impact your life positively, negatively. They could either be bad influences, through pressure, or they're great people and they become great friends that are with you probably as long as to the point you get married. You know what I mean? When you look at that, you also learn to appreciate the race a lot more because it's individual to you. There's nothing that's really going to change about it aside from the things that you choose to either allow into that space or you choose to use and affect your own life. You can never really look and see another person's life thinking that you're gonna have the same experience.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case, man, I feel like some people would feel as though life wasn't as fulfilling. Being able to compare your race, your life, your experience with others helps when you're not doing it to chastise a person or chastise yourself. You need to be able to look at that and either see where a person's going wrong or see where you're going wrong. You sometimes will meet like-minded people. You meet like-minded people that can help you improve, or hanging around them might tear you down. Because sometimes you might find someone that is going through the same experience or going through the same path and they feel like you're ahead and they could try to tear you down.
Yeah.
Everything is an opportunity for you to learn, but in learning, you just need to be aware of the life that you're living and be aware of the life that others are. You never know when they're going to cross paths with you, and you just have to be ready. You just have to be ready for what? Ready for the experiences, ready for the highs and the lows, ready for the punches and the kicks.
Yeah.
Just be ready to take those things because it's part of life. I don't think it's good for people to expect or to wish that their lives were like others. I mean, aside from, when you're truly suffering, it's okay to wish that your life was like another person's actually.
Yeah.
But to compare, to be jealous, or to feel as though you are way behind, don't feel as though you're way behind. Just look at it as just look at it as God's plan, God's timing. As Christians, we look at it as God's timing. For other people, if we're not looking at it from the perspective of faith, I would say I would just say take one step at a time.
And just trust in God's plan for your life as well.
Trust in God's plan for your life. Take one step at a time. These are things that you cannot control.
Yeah.
Because at one point in your life, you're going to feel like everything is secure. You have everything under control. And the next moment, catastrophes, God forbid, but those things happen.
Those things always happen.
Those things always happen. So you just have to be able to prepare yourself, be aware, learn from others, and don't beat yourself up too much for what you think you haven't accomplished. I know that I used to beat myself up for my lack of accomplishments in my own understanding. But whenever I'd speak to my mom and I'd tell her this, she'd look at me confused, probably even upset. And she would ask me, what's making you feel this way? Why do you feel like life is like this for you? Of course, everybody's life is different. She's the one that showed me this. All fingers are different. They're not equal. And they're all individual, so they have their own uses.
Yeah.
But you can't think your life is going to be the same as another person's, bro. It'd be boring as well. I mean, as you get older, you would want to have some form of uniqueness. Imagine
we all were just the same, and
exactly. I'm going to be 70 years old. You're going to be 70 years old, and we both worked in a factory, bro. Like, no, man. There has to be some form of difference.
Yeah. And one thing I just wanted to touch on is like the fact that, when one can just accept the fact that everyone's life is different, I think it's just important for someone to just, live their life as consciously as possible, just being aware that.
How would you explain that? Oh, no, you were about to explain.
Yeah, it is a marathon, not a sprint. Like, just live your life. And for me, how to explain that is, just obviously have your goals, have your targets that you set for yourself in life, work towards them. Understand the fact that it may not be overnight. For some people, it might, for some people, it very well might be overnight. It might even be overnight for you that's watching this right now. Who knows? But don't live your life thinking that way. Just live your life like, okay, I'm working towards this goal and I'm doing these steps. You measure yourself versus you were yesterday to see the growth that you've made. The most important thing I would say is focus on your growth. Focus on your self-improvement. If you make progress, you have made progress. Progress is progress at the end of the day. True. No matter how small it may be. It may take you 5 years, but 5 years will still pass anyways. So you might as well spend those 5 years doing that. Or do you want to spend 5 years doing nothing and still be the same way you were 5 years ago? Or do you want to be able to look back and say, I've really come quite a bit away since 5 years ago, Because at the end of the day, we're going to be 30 regardless. It's just where will we be when we're 30? So yeah, that's just what I would say in regards to just living your life as consciously as possible.
Great. No, that's nice, man. This has been lovely. I feel like this is something that should be easy for people to understand. It's hard, especially when some of us get so engrossed in the way life is and how it's not going according to our plan. It's understandable when you have expectations and those expectations are not being met. But it starts to become an issue when you probably stop.
Yeah.
You stop chasing your dreams, or you're asking questions that can't be answered, like, why is this happening to him and it's not happening to me? Unfortunately, you're probably never going to get an answer that will satisfy you because life is different.
Yeah.
Some people are brought up in well-off homes. Some people are not. And those that came from the well-off homes become nothing. And those that were in the poor homes become something great. Life is always different, but you are the one that plays the cards. You're the one that makes the choices. So I'd say instead of gawking at another person's race or the running form or the marathon or whatever, focus on yours. Focus on yours because there's so much more coming. Your marathon, because you're running a marathon doesn't mean that there are not going to be hurdles.
Yeah.
There's going to be something for you to jump over. So I'd say like there's a whole lot more for us as people that we need to look at. And I wanted to just ask a very, very quick question, concise answer. Do you feel like some people need to drop social media to focus more on their race?
Yes, 100%.
Exactly. I also agree with that as well. Not because social media is bad or is terrible. Technology, the advancement of technology is good when it comes to how we benefit from it as a society. There will also be the negatives as people also benefit negatively. Now, if you ever feel like you're seeing so many people ahead of you through social media, you should also remember that the same way you take time to find the perfect picture to post that defines your outing is the same way people take those reels thousands of times to show that their lives are so great. Some people don't live those lives. If anything, nobody lives a perfect, happy life 24/7.
Yeah.
You know? So what they're showing you is part of their life, but not the whole thing. Try your best not to be focused or engrossed on the life of another man or woman. It makes you lose value in yourself. And for those that start to think even worse, you start to look at your life as less. And none of us are less.
Yeah.
You just haven't reached where you're meant to be. And it's going to be somewhere great. But people, I would say this is the conclusion of episode 20. Thank you very much to Kay, as usual, my co-host. He's come in here with a lovely topic, an opportunity for us to speak our minds, have a good laugh, and at the same time try our best to inspire those that are watching. Like we've already said, run your race. Do not sprint. Take it easy. It's a marathon. You're gradually learning as you're going.
Enjoy the moments.
Exactly. Enjoy the moments. Let other people's lives cross by and let it go. You will gradually meet people again and you'll have fun along the way. But you can only do that if you show yourself a bit of kindness, give yourself a bit of space and time to learn, strengthen yourself, have a faith. I don't feel like it's a good idea to be living in the world without knowing where your heart is, knowing where your mind is, knowing what you truly believe in, you know, because you brought into this world, you were brought into this world, and it's always good to just be aware of these kind of things, you know. The Father God loves you. We love you guys. This has been Lion in the Room. I'm your boy Leo, and I got my boy K.
Yeah.
Any final words?
Guys, don't compare. Don't look left. Don't look right. Just focus on you and keep growing.
Only look left and right when you're crossing the road.
Exactly.
Your marathon just ends, bro. Broken leg.
Seriously.
Oh my days. All right, people. Take care. God bless you.
Take
Lion
it easy.
in the Room. We are out. Peace. Three takes.
3 takes is fine. It's normal.
Three takes. But at least before, like our previous takes, it could be like, 10 minutes in, it cut. 15 minutes in, it cut. This one, audio didn't even record. No, you're joking.
No.